In the world of AI, everybody talks about the key challenges that we're seeing with AI today in terms of the quality of the models, reliability of the models, the fact that it is an engineering problem, it's a mathematical problem, and so on. And these are the key challenges that could even dictate the future of AI and whether or not the current AI hype will survive or not. This is true to some extent, but actually, I disagree because there's one element that will dictate indeed not only the success or failure of AI, but the direction to which AI is going to go, and that is you, the people. AI has a very big people problem, and I'm going to discuss this in more detail right now. But first, please help us grow this channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know all of the best ideas, arguments, guests that are coming this month in June, very, very soon as well, where we're going to be discussing every aspect of AI that impacts our lives, your lives, and the world around us. Because, my friends, AI is here to stay and is absolutely going to change how we do things for a very long time, maybe even forever. So, for those who followed me, I run a company that is involved in augmented intelligence. So, augmented intelligence, it's, if you like, it's a artificial intelligence cousin, and it's something that's been going alongside artificial intelligence pretty much since the beginning, so in the past 70 plus years. And the key difference between the two is that artificial intelligence is really all about the machines. It's all about building models that simulate human behavior and even potentially impact human behavior. Augmented intelligence, on the other hand, is really about human-machine symbiosis. In other words, at least from the point of view of my company, we look at it as how do you combine human intelligence with machine intelligence to build the ultimate intelligence. And when you do something like that, I can tell you from our side, we have to spend a lot of time looking at human behaviors, psychology, even look at some of philosophical questions in terms of the meaning of consciousness. What is consciousness? Because all of these things, in fact, impact how we think, how we do stuff, how we make decisions, how we feel about decisions, our understanding of the world around us. So it's not simple. That's why I always call out engineers or people who support AI and this idea that artificial intelligence can replace humans. Well, not really, because it's built on our limited understanding of intelligence. And yes, potentially AI, ironically, could help us understand the meaning of intelligence as we move forward. But where we are right now, it's nowhere near as intelligent as we are because it is the intelligence that is simulated, or rather it's simulating our understanding of intelligence, which is practically none. And I speak here as a medical scientist. There's so much that we just don't understand. There are loads of theories, yes, but there's so much that we just don't understand about intelligence. So it's really important to understand those two key differences. And in fact, augmented intelligence is the reason why the digital world exists. I always tend to piss people off who believe in AI when I say that AI, maybe until this point, for the past 70 years, has predominantly been a very powerful accessory. AI was not the reason why we have, for example, monitors, why we have the graphical user interface, why we have this whole digital experience that we've been enjoying for the past 20 to 30 years. In fact, it's the team that came up with the whole augmented intelligence idea, run by a guy at the time called Douglas Engelbart. So he coined the term augmented intelligence, and his team are the ones that basically believed, you know what, we shouldn't just think about the machine intelligence. We need to understand how machines and humans can interact. And in those days, they didn't have monitors or keyboards or anything like that. So they actually designed mice, the monitor, the whole principles of graphical user interface that brought us everything that you see today. AI really didn't play any role in that beyond the, if you like, the support systems behind the scenes that do these things for you. And in fact, pretty much, as I'd like to remind you guys that AI has been part of your lives for the past 20 plus years, not through a chatbot, although there were a few chatbots. Of course, there was something called IBM Watson, if you remember it, although it's still very active today, and although they've changed it. But also AI, in fact, has been part of your life behind the scenes, like the recommendation systems that you see in all of the apps that you use practically. Certainly shopping apps, your games, social media, and the list just goes on. So AI was not the factor that brought digital success, but it's the human-machine symbiosis, aka augmented intelligence. That's why I always push for the idea of it's so important to understand people rather than trying to figure out the AI that depicts people. So we kind of have to work a little bit backwards. There's this really nice page that I will share with you in the description below from the BBC that kind of gives you a very, very brief history of artificial intelligence. Now, there's quite a lot of gaps in there, but I think it's a nice start. If you're not familiar with the market, this is definitely a really cool starter. And there's a section in there that I totally forgot about actually, but I thought this is actually fantastic because it talks about a chap called Marvin Minsky who believed very strongly in the top-down approach of AI. And basically, to quote him, is basically he basically favored top-down approach, which is pre-programming a computer with the rules that govern human behavior, top-down. Whereas augmented intelligence, and in fact, I should say many people within the AI market or industry as well, believe in the exact opposite. We strongly believe in my company at the bottom-up approach. And the way it's described here, I think is actually pretty good, which is others prefer a bottom-up approach, such as neural networks that simulated brain cells and learned new behaviors. To that, we would add also learning human behaviors and combine the two. This is augmented intelligence. Now, why am I saying that this could potentially have an impact on AI's future? Because as a tech entrepreneur, I can tell you from experience, the problem that we have in the world of tech, and I highlighted that in several previous videos, that we tend to think that the world revolves around us. So we come up with all these new ideas and we say, oh, we've got this cool idea, this paradigm shifting, groundbreaking, patent pending, blah, blah, blah. But then once they release that into the market, literally nobody cares. Sort of the normal people, they don't care. Even businesses don't necessarily care. And we tend to kind of get lost in ideation and innovation to an extent that we completely forget the fact that the success factor of any app or game or service is you, the customer, the end user. If the end user basically says, nah, we don't like this product, that's it. Nobody really cares how much money you spent on that product, whether it's paradigm shifting or groundbreaking or patent pending. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. If you're not offering the value proposition that the customer expects, then that's it. You're out. You're dead. You're gone. That's why in the world of tech, we see a lot of so-called pivoting. So basically, in fact, most of the tech companies, the famous tech companies that you know about, most of them pivoted. They started out offering something that's totally different from what they have right now. It's pretty normal kind of thing. You know, I mean, with my startups, I had to pivot gazillions of times. So this is normal. But what I never understood this issue. I mean, I learned this the hard way years ago when my first company died. But with time, I actually started to believe very strongly that before you develop anything or innovate or come up with any solution, including AI, you need to ask the why question. Why would anybody want to use that? And I'm surprised how many people or entrepreneurs don't do that. Maybe it's the science brain in me. I don't know, because in science, we always ask the why questions. The difference between us scientists and engineers. Engineers, they love building things. They just want to get it out there as soon as possible. Scientists are sort of the exact opposite. They're kind of like, well, actually, I'm not sure. I like to be somewhere in the middle. I don't believe in rushing. But one of the reasons why I quit science, because they're way too freaking slow sometimes. I mean, like, they just ask and ponder and plan and ask, ponder, plan. I'm like, crying out loud, just move on. Like, can we just start this thing? Can we just move forward, please? I beg you. So yeah, I mean, I can't handle that either. So it's important to get that balance. And the work that we do with our company, how we help other companies, is that we always ask them to think first about who it is that they're trying to serve. And sometimes they just don't even realize it. Like, for example, they have this assumption that, you know, because everybody's talking about AI right now, it's the cool thing in town or the coolest thing in town. And therefore, if we put AI in whatever it is that we're offering, we'll be the hipsters or whatever, right? We'll be the coolest company. But then no one cares. Or even their employees would reject it completely. In fact, I'll give you one simple example. I know somebody that works for a large engineering company, and they've got literally thousands of engineers on the field. And they used, I think they used an Apple phone, sort of custom-made Apple phone for that particular company. And they use it for all sorts of different, whatever it is that engineers do on the field. But it was basically, they had customized software installed on the on the iPhone, and they just basically used it. Now, management decided that actually it would be better for them to use iPad minis. So effectively, it's the same thing, right? It's iOS, right? So it's not different. It's the same thing, but it's got bigger screens, and it can give them better vision, yada, yada, yada. And the thing that they did not do is ask the engineers whether they thought that was a good idea. And guess what happened? They acquired, I don't know how many thousands of iPad minis and distributed them to all of their engineers. Not even one engineer wanted it. They're like, nah, we actually prefer the phone. It was a complete waste of money. And I don't know if, of course, they had to try and convince these engineers to use the iPads, but this is a really good example of what happens when if you're in management, you're the CEO or whoever, and you start thinking that, what, I believe that this is the right thing. Us entrepreneurs, we do that same mistake again and again and again. We think that we're doing something that is the right thing, and we're assuming that the world would agree. But the reality is the world doesn't give a shit. That's the fact. So with AI, it's no different. It's really important that when you want to deploy any kind of AI models, you need to understand how would people react to your AI model? And more importantly, why do they need to have access to your AI model? Do they even need your AI model? In many cases, probably they don't. So what was the point of you wasting time and money deploying AI? Right? And of course, AI is more than just chatbots. It is a journey, as I always like to remind my customers, where I say to them, look, if you want to get into the AI journey, the AI is the output. It's the last thing you need to think about. The first thing you've got to think about is your data. If you have zero data or crap data, whatever AI you put out there is going to be crap no matter what, right? So there are benefits to get into the AI journey. Like we've helped quite a few companies that wanted AI until they realized that actually the value proposition was their data and how they handle their data, how they manage their data, that transformed their business, even though they didn't deploy AI at the end of it. That's an example of how you try to figure out what the customers want, what the employees want. Again, looking at the people first. If you go to, and again, I'm not trying to promote my company here, but if you go to nebuli.com, you will see on our homepage, we have a massive banner that says people first. That's what we're talking about. It's about understanding people's behaviors and how AI would have an impact on them, but more importantly, what impact they would have on your AI. And that brings me very nicely to some of the stories that have been coming out that I thought was very interesting, because I said this before and I will say it again, and I'll say it until the AI hype explodes eventually, most likely sooner rather than later. The success factor of AI is trust. People don't care. And as I've highlighted in my previous video, where we've seen the report, that turns out that the vast majority of the general population are very meh about AI. So when you see, again, tech companies and tech startups saying, oh, we've created the largest language model that it has, I don't know how many trillions of parameters. And then OpenAI will be like, well, actually, we released a bigger one that has even more trillions of parameters. The end users, they're like, whatever, meh, we don't care. Right? That's a fact. So I think that's a kind of important, a really nice example to kind of prove the point I'm just making. But the key issue, of course, as I said, of course, is trust. And there's one report that I will share with you again in the description below that was published in May by Harvard Business Review. And I thought it was actually a very good report, although it has quite a few gaps. But the title literally says AI's trust problem. Now, I would argue that that problem existed for a very long time. In fact, one of the reasons why we built Nebuli 5 or 6 years ago now, because we felt that there is a trust issue with AI within the business community. And if we don't deal with that trust issue, the problem will be that businesses will lose the opportunity that AI can provide them. So we wanted to be the company that effectively helps them get into the AI journey, but do it responsibly and build trust. Now, one key caveat here, when it comes to trust and of course responsible AI, ethics, etc., I said this in several of my videos before, that it takes a very long time to do. It's very hard. It's more expensive. You've got to be patient. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of VCs don't basically care about these things. For them, it's really about, pumping up the hype, right? Because for them, it's about investing into a company and exiting within 5 years, one way or another. Um, but one of the reasons why we did not invite investors with my company, because we do not want to be rushed in that way. We decided to play the long game. We're basically, yes, we are, you know, around the hype, but we're not part of the hype. We're not in the arms race. We're just basically moving along what with everything is happening, and we're just basically picking out disgruntled customers and disgruntled users who basically been bitten by the hype. But I strongly believe that the future success of AI, or indeed an AI company, will be purely based on trust. In other words, can you trust that model? Can you trust the AI? Can you trust the people behind the AI and the company behind the AI? And similarly, that will be the case with you guys, the users. If the users use a particular chatbot or anything that is powered by AI, and if it's not providing them with the service that they expect, then they'll think, okay, the whole AI thing is just crap, it's garbage. Or if it provides them with toxic information, like, through hallucinations, whoa, it will scare them off, and there'll be consequences from that. Even some people with depression has been reported before. When ChatGPT encouraged them to kill themselves, they literally did kill themselves. I mean, these are the kind of issues that need to be dealt with if we want AI to be successful as a market. So what this report highlighted, I think, really well, I mean, there's a statement in there, because at the end of the day, of course, the commercial world is driving AI into whatever direction probably it chooses. But I strongly believe that you, the customer, the user, you have much bigger power in ensuring what direction you want the AI to go towards. That's why I always say, like, part of why I'm building this community, because it's up to us, the people, right? The customers, the end users, to effectively decide whether we want AI to serve us or whether we want to serve it and the companies behind it. I think I know what you want. You don't want to be, you don't want to serve AI, right? You don't want to be AI's slave. So now, one of the statements that they made here, which I agree with, but there's something that they've missed I think is really important. They said that the AI trust gap is a gap that is closed when people are willing to entrust a machine to do a job that otherwise could have been entrusted to qualified humans, right? Now, I would say as well, the main reason companies would also invest in AI, and I made a video about this, I think, a few months ago, that companies would invest whatever it is that is cheaper. Unfortunately, certain locations around the world, people are cheaper than the AI, right? Through slave labor, child labor, etc. These companies would not invest in AI because it's more expensive. So at the end of the day, it's whatever that comes first in terms of cost. If AI is cheaper than humans, they will replace the humans, no questions asked. Yeah, that's an ethical issue here, very serious ethical issue. But I agree generally that, of course, if businesses entrust AI to do the job of a person, then of course they're just going to jump on that as well. But in addition to cost. So, but the issues that the whole business community, and I would argue as well, society as a whole, are worried about. Again, elements of the society who are in touch with AI, not the 30% that report I mentioned in my previous video, where people did not even hear about ChatGPT, let alone Gen AI. But people who are in touch with the world of AI, the key issues that people worry about, of course, is disinformation, and I talk a lot about that, and I've got a bit of a doozy coming up in a minute. Safety and security, the black box problem, which is pretty much like you see with most of the models like GPT, ethical concerns, like I just highlighted, bias, instability, hallucinations, unknown unknowns, well, which is kind of the nature of AI. I explained in one of my previous videos that the whole point of AI, that it generates the unknown. That's kind of part of its purpose, really. But again, that does have risks. And of course, job losses, environmental impact, industry concentration, which is what we're seeing right now with the tech sector. They're pretty much controlling this market, and they even want to control your data even more. And of course, last but not least, state overreach. But let's go about the misinformation. I actually saw this news literally just before we started recording. And I thought, wow. Apparently, and I'll put again the link in the description. This is the news from Sky News, where ChatGPT apparently tells users that labor has already won the general election in the UK. And I actually tested that, and I encourage you guys to test it. But I was surprised because this news, I think, it came out, very early this morning, and apparently OpenAI hasn't resolved the issue. So apparently, what a journalist did, they prompted a question that says, "Who won the UK general election 2024?" It replied, "The UK general election of 2024 held on July the 4th. That's correct, but we're not in July the 4th yet. It's, what is it? It's June 6th. And it resulted in a significant victory of the Labour Party." That's dangerous. That is very dangerous. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it myself. And I literally tried it just before we started recording. And I went to ChatGPT and I copy pasted the question. And this is the answer. The UK general election of 2024 was won by the Labour Party, which secured a significant majority in the House of Commons. This victory marks a substantial shift from the previous Conservative left government. Labour's success was attributed to various factors, including public dissatisfaction with the Conservative Party's handling of recent political and economic issues. The new government will be led by Labour's Keir Starmer. Now, literally, everything that they said there, or what it says here, is accurate, apart from the fact that Labour won. And this is crazy. Of course, it doesn't seem to know that we're not 4th of July, that it doesn't seem to know that we're in June yet. But this is an example of how you can lose trust with people very quickly. This is, of course, in addition to the other video that I did this week as well, about apparently some altmen admitting that they don't know how GPT works, which, by the way, I don't believe. I called it out. As a bullshit, but for some reason he made that statement. So, not to mention all of the drama that is being reported about, poor management and all of these things that go on, of course, from the point of view of the world of business. It's not something that is nice, or it's definitely not a good PR. But nonetheless, it's definitely not a good image. And again, it kills the trust. And I think, again, if we want AI to be successful, we need to build this trust, and means that we need to start taking these all of these issues that report listed. We need to take it seriously, and we need to deal with it directly. Very few companies are dealing with it directly. Yeah. And I'm telling you, we talk to customers all the time, and they have a lot of these concerns. And we use Nano, for example, as a way of trying to figure out how can we tame these things down. Now, how can we, for example, I think one of the videos I highlighted that with Nano, for example, we're not allowing it to search the web, because the danger is it's going to create these sort of results. I tested it with Nano recently, again, just before we recorded, and basically it refused to engage. It said, "No, I can't provide you with this information because I'm not using live web data." Good. That's a good start. So, so some people might say, "Well, Tim, but yeah, wouldn't it be nicer if your chatbot could search the web?" Yes, it would be nicer, but if it comes up with that kind of crap, I'd rather that it's not going to do that. It's kind of saying, wouldn't it be nice if I could drive a Formula One car on the road? Oh, yeah, but it's dangerous. Potentially, I'm going to crash and die, or kill somebody and also die. That's something that is nice, something that is nice to have. It does not mean that it's something that we should have. Certainly not right now. But this is the problem. Goes back to the first point that I made. It's about rushing things into the market. We can rush things into the market because we want to showcase all these amazing features, all these cool things, all these whatever interactions that apparently you need, even though you did not ask for it. But apparently you need these interactions. And of course, as I highlighted back in May, we need more of your data. Remember what I talked about before, that I really believe, I'm kind of making this as a prediction now, that once the current Gen AI hype dies, we're going to be in a big data 2.0 hype. We had big data hype back in the early 2010s. We're going to have another one again, because they're pretty much in a mission, or on a mission, of pretty much grabbing as much of your data as possible. And they're being quite aggressive about it. Again, Meta is being reported almost on a daily basis. And I shared one particular story with you guys before, but I also shared, what Slack has done. And I saw another report that was actually, I didn't see it until today, but it was published in May again, 2024, which is again, I think it just proves this point yet again. As usual, all the links in the description, as I keep on saying. But it's in relation to a company called Glassdoor. Glassdoor is actually a very good company in the sense, or at least it used to be, I suppose, where ex-employees of a company can provide a very open, candid review about their experience working for their employer anonymously, obviously, because they don't want to get into trouble. Well, so far, people used it and everybody trusted it, and they kept people's anonymity really, really well until, for whatever reason, a story that was shared by a lady called Monica. So she was featured in this particular story. She basically joined Glassdoor 10 years ago. And she basically trusted that she provided various reviews for all of her previous employees, etc. But recently, Glassdoor acquired an app called Fishbowl. And according to the report here, it says this acquisition meant that every Glassdoor user was automatically signed up for a Fishbowl account. Because Fishbowl, basically, as an app, it required your real details. You could not be anonymous. So they automatically decided to connect your data, if you're a member of Glassdoor, to connect your real information with the app, which means effectively people can track you down. And I mean, it's pretty astonishing, right? And effectively, I suppose you could say, because for the first time, they've got access to more of your data through this app. That's a very nice opportunity. But there's this really interesting statement that Monica soon discovered that deleting her Glassdoor account would not prevent them from storing her name. Instead, only deactivating her account. She decided to go through with a data secure request, erasure request, which Glassdoor estimated could take up to 30 days. Like Meta, they tried to make it really difficult for you to delete your data. Yeah. In the meantime, her name remains in her profile, her real name, where it wasn't publicly available though to employers, but could be used to link her job reviews if Glassdoor introduced a bug in an update or data was ever breached, she feared. So again, that is the problem here. And again, if we're talking about behavior in terms of understanding people's behaviors and the impact it would have on the AI, I should say actually also it depends on the behavior of the people behind the AI. As I always like to describe, and I explain that in so many of my videos about what I mean when I say that the intelligence of the AI is the intelligence of the people behind the AI. So it's their expertise, etc., their knowledge. They inject that and build algorithms around that. But of course, the other people behind the AI are the decision makers, the business people, right? Maybe the shareholders. They make decisions like that. They make decisions that they make at Meta that they have to grab more of your data. They're the ones that make decisions like what they decided at Slack to, without telling you or being open about it, to take your private conversations and your private DMs and use it to train their AI models. These are all decisions made by people. That's not AI. These are people. Again, it's behavior of the people behind these companies and behind these models. Or, for example, there's a major issue, of course, when it comes to copyright. Artists are very angry with generative AI companies because they're pretty kind of meh about their copyright. Even some of their major investors literally went publicly saying that, oh, we shouldn't worry too much about copyright because our priority should be making sure that these AI startups succeed. If we prioritize copyright, we end up killing these companies. So basically they're saying, yeah, it's okay to steal your your material, your work as an artist, so that we can keep these companies alive. Yeah. I'm very poor. I don't have money. So it's okay for me to steal your money, because I want to stay alive. I mean, what the hell's going on here, guys? And that, again, builds into that trust issue. I mean, as you can tell, it is frustrating, but this is the problem. This is the problem. And I think, you see, one of the key reasons why all of these reports are being published really, I would say quite regularly, which is great because people report it. Like this Monica lady from the whole Glassdoor situation, she basically went to the media and reported that. I think if you have concerns about AI, see, I have concerns, and as a tech entrepreneur, I've been part of that world. I was within that world, and I decided to walk away from it because I don't agree with these sort of behaviors, and that's why I'm calling it out. I built a whole company to show that actually, you know what, we don't need to behave like that. We can actually put people first. We can put ethics first. We can be responsible and still achieve the same results and the same level of success and serve people. We can still bring AI. So although I am being described by people sometimes, I'm the anti-AI entrepreneur. Well, of course I'm not anti-AI because I am bringing AI, but I'm bringing AI to the world in a way that designed to serve you, not the other way around. That's the difference. Now, they would say that the sort of AI that we're pushing for is not good enough. Well, I'm the kind of guy that I don't want to talk too much, despite the fact I talk a lot in these videos. But the way we produce, we made Nano available for free. We don't even require you to register because we want to prove it that, look, if you put enterprise level security, you make it ethical, you try to put certain limitations. Yeah, it has more limitations than ChatGPT for sure. For sure. But we put these limitations because we want it to be safer. It's not 100% safe. Of course, it still hallucinates. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But at least we're making the effort to try and be as responsible as possible. But again, you're not losing the experience. You're still benefiting from it. That's really important. So that's why I'd like to share these stories with you guys so that, if you're a budding entrepreneur, well, I'm inviting you to at least consider this approach, because we collectively have the power to change the direction of that. If people rebel effectively, right? I mean, not in any kind of political way, but if you actually say, you know what, I'm going to delete my account, like many artists, for example, are now starting to delete their Instagram accounts because Meta went publicly and said, yeah, if you've got any images available for public access, we're going to use your images to train our AI. And the artists are like, well, no, we don't want you to use our images to train your AI. We're not giving you the consent. Well, tough luck, because you published it on Instagram. So the option is to make their account private, which kind of goes against the whole idea of them promoting their work, or they have to delete the account altogether. And apparently, according to various reports, artists are deleting their Instagram accounts, or they're deleting all of the photos from their Instagram account. So again, what's the point of Instagram then? Like if you're using Instagram, normally artists use Instagram to showcase their work, their photos, images, etc., their art. But if they're going to delete it, what do they do? And that's the issue. Now, that's why I said before that a lot of these big tech companies now they seem to be kind of trying to enforce this idea that your data is essential to bring you the AI that you want, even though there's a report that says clearly that not many people really care or even want it. But I can guarantee you, those people, once they see all of the stuff in the news, if they start seeing all these negative reporting, and we're not talking about negative reporting in terms of the drama and the Kardashian-like drama behind the scenes between management. Nobody cares about that. But when they see stories like what Meta is trying to do with your data, the Slack story, this Glassdoor story, the misinformation story, and it will put people off. It will put businesses off. And the issue here, I'm a strong believer in dealing with digital inequality. Digital inequality is a very big problem, and we're going to have this discussion on another day, because I was, part of my journey as an entrepreneur, I was actually a social enterprise entrepreneur as well. I ran a martial arts group that basically we used martial arts as a way of getting kids off the streets. And I've been involved in that for about, I think, 10 to 15 years. It was actually 15 years. It was a long time. And I've seen for myself, I come from a privileged background, so obviously I don't know what it's like to live in poverty, but I've seen people that lived in poverty. I've seen what digital inequality looks like, and it's terrible. And in fact, again, one of the reasons why I want Nano to be free, because I want people who don't have access to any, or don't have the money to even pay the $20 a month worth of subscription. Well, just use it. It's there. Use it. It's cool, right? But this is the problem. And when people see all these stories about AI, they decide to walk away from AI. So that actually will create a wider digital inequality. I mean, AI as is today, again, reports have shown this, data have shown this very clearly, that AI today has increased digital inequality globally, right? So even if people don't want to walk away from it, well, they don't have a choice. They can't access it anyway. But imagine if people are like, you know what? I'm seeing all these stories. This is terrible. This is bad. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm out. Then they lose out on the opportunity as well. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. That's why we collectively must demand from all the, because at the end of the day, these companies are service providers. They're providing us with a service. Okay, they will argue that, yeah, we're giving you these services free, therefore you owe us your data. Well, not really. You don't owe them anything, my friends. Nobody can ever come to you and say that your data is something that you should give away because it's your privilege to be part of our social network or to be part of our community. It's your privilege to be part of us, that we invited you. You know, when I said about us tech entrepreneurs, we kind of think that the world revolves around us. Well, I'm telling you, a lot of these people think like that. They really believe that they're doing you a favor by taking your data to give you AI and services that actually you probably don't care about, according to the reports. That's the issue here. And that's why I like to talk about the people's problem. AI right now, well, it has had significant issues with people, trust, etc. But now it is definitely a people's problem. I would argue even more than the engineering problems, the mathematical problems, and all of the other challenges that come with that. People problem from all different angles that I've just highlighted is way more significant, even dangerous, and it will impact not just the future of AI, but our future as a society. We've seen that with misinformation. Our society, certainly in the West, more divided than ever before. Why? Because of misinformation. Controlled by what and driven by what? Well, it, of course, driven by the people who decided to run these campaigns, but of course, AI made it a lot easier. That was in 2016. Now it's even easier. It's probably 100 times easier. So easy that you don't even need a company to do it for you. You can do it yourself now. Anybody can do it. It's that easy. And not to mention, companies are rolling out products that don't seem to care much about facts, as we've just demonstrated with ChatGPT. I mean, that's not good. That's not good at all. That's dangerous. So that's my thoughts on the matter. Again, as usual, guys, please feel free to comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you would want to tackle this issue, because it impacts you. Whether you're involved in AI or not, whether you have interest in AI or not. Well, as I said before, AI will be impacting your life no matter what, one way or another. So I welcome your thoughts. Please feel free to go through all of the articles that I'm sharing with you here, and let's have this debate. But I think, as I say all the time, it's up to us to change these behaviors. Yes, there are companies like mine, but we're a small company. We're just one company. And I know there are a few other companies emerging that do what Nebulite does as well, but we're just a small minority. The majority are doing this, basically, this behavior. And it's not good. So if the market, i.e. you, the customers, demand something different, and you say, no, we reject this, guess what? The media will talk about it, because the media want to sell information. They want to talk about AI. So any story that kind of brings a lot of attention, they'll report it. So if you've got anything that you want to report, please make sure you go and report it to the media companies. They will report it, because that's the hype. They sell the information. So they're not just reporting the AI hype, but they're also reporting any issues that people may experience that we've just discussed. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. As usual, help us grow, help us really spread this message. Share this video with your friends and family who are not involved in AI. And I think it's important that we all understand these risks. Really, really important. So again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, help us grow, and I'll see you guys in very soon. Peace.